Yeah, I know I missed a week, but thank you for fucking sticking by. Alright, so what's been happening? Well, my cat passed away, which was very sad, and it was a valiant fight. Extremely tough animal, and it wasn't like I wasn't expecting, the worst. Hoping for the best, expecting the worst. But if you've ever lost a pet, it sucks. It's something where you kind of think that there's that hope that he'll pull through, and you see things getting worse, and you just know that this is just, at this point, would be cruel to try and keep the fight going. Even if for yourself, you just can't let it go. It's something you've got to do. So with that, we had a bit of an event. What would you call it? We had someone come to the house. We didn't want to take him to a thing and just have him, euthanized in a cold vet's office. So a little bit more planning and kind of knowing when the day is coming, and it's it was very depressing all around. So he was a strong soul. So, but life really knows how to kick you in the fucking sack. Just when you think you got it all kind of under control, you sit through the grief, and it's like, no, we've got some plans for you. So it's been a week, so I let that week just kind of go, just to kind of settle all the shit. And the house was very sad and very depressing. But oh man, I'm also going through sinuses of everything getting warmer. So it's funny because through this, I've kind of limited just some contact out there, because I know I don't want to fucking bring anyone else's day down. So we've just been going through it as, my wife and I, just to go through it with each other. So I've been going to, work a lot, using work as like a bit of a, just to get the mindset correct, or just not to concentrate on all the bad shit. So and what I've found over the last week, and it applies directly to like all the music, is like my process is like I'll pull back a little, kind of do some self-care, if you will. And situations at my workplace, which is it's a fucking mess. But I noticed when I came to this country, like, people in the workplace are different to what I was used to back home. And there seems to be, like, what I've found, especially in the place where I'm at now, but there's a lot of like backbiting, a lot of mistrust of, if you do a good job, people think that you're trying to take their job. Asking for help sometimes was even, especially in the last week, is looked at as like almost, well, you can't perform what you do because you need someone to help you. Why don't we look at what you do and maybe diminish your role? And I sit there and, like, I listen to things like this, and I'm like, this is like an alien country to me. I'm not used to, like, if you were to self-identify that you're having issues with whatever it is, whether it be something like drugs, alcohol, or just workload, normally people would be willing to step up and kind of lend a bit of a hand and put you in the right direction. Well, that doesn't seem to be the case at the place that I'm at. So I kind of looked at a lot of these situations when there's like, this isn't like, you can threaten things all you want, like it's not the worst thing that's going to happen. And so I kind of looked at it like, well, fuck, I've been through a lot in the last few weeks, so almost if you wanted to fire me today, it wouldn't be the worst thing that could happen. So I treated it like such. I didn't try to defend, or didn't try to explain to them my situation or whatever. It wasn't even really involved in that. It was just a lot of work that kind of piled on it. So I figured, let me see if someone can take a little bit of this while I work on this. And what I found was, if I had very defined things that I needed to get done last week, and I don't think I got any of them done. I mean, I looked busy. And what happened was, just, I guess the long story short, nothing got done. But a lot of work was happening. And that relates directly to how I'm kind of manifesting a lot of shit at the moment. So I've got a lot of like music stuff, which is sitting all on this computer. And I'm really excited about like going back into it and really creating something out of it, pulling out the crap and putting in there some good stuff. And what I'm finding is that I cannot make a decision or start the process, but I do a lot of work looking at it, and I kind of see this as a like, this is a metaphor for the last few weeks at least. So for an example, if you gave me 5 bills that I needed to pay and they all added up to $1,000, and you gave me the $1,000, I wouldn't know which ones to pay first. And it's crazy because when you say it out loud, you're like, you would just, doesn't matter which one you do first, right? Doesn't matter which task you perform, doesn't matter what bill you would pay first. You've got the skill set or you've got the money ready to go, you pay one at a time. And that makes perfect sense, saying it out loud, but it doesn't make sense when you're sitting there with the piece of paper in one hand and the computer blinking at you with the other. And that can be just such a task, just to put that next step forward and get it going. And so I've kind of just been head down trying to sort it out, write down what I need to do and try to complete. And what I found is that when you kind of, or when I concentrate on doing one thing, the other little things that I'm not concentrating on at the time will slip, even if there's like some foolproof plan as to how, like if I don't want to interact with people, I won't interact with people. Like, how do you fuck that up? Well, those things start to slip. You start to interact with people, and there's just been an incident where I watched a guy like almost like kill himself performing a role, and I didn't necessarily react to it. I was just yeah, you're a bit of a fucking idiot. Like, why, the guy almost electrocutes himself. Why would you do that? So, and then it's that opens up a whole new can of fucking drama, because being that it's at a workplace, investigations start happening or no investigations start happening. And what happens is it becomes a bit of an in-joke of, this fucking idiot doing something he shouldn't have. And if you're anyway involved in it, then you're involved in it. Your interactions are going to start because people are going to want to ask questions. So as much as you try to pull away, you fucking just get roped into shit. Now, I don't know how that happens, because I make it a special point in my life not to get involved in fucking shit. You know, shit happens around me, you know. That's a thing you can't stop, but I always fucking question like how I get into these dumb situations where suddenly I've got to talk about something that I didn't necessarily get involved in. I just had to witness it because I was fucking sitting there. Shit like that doesn't help, you know. But it's been a fun week of bullshit. And, you know, the only shining light or fucking whatever it's been today is, you know, today's the day we are expecting the shipment of the new album to show up, and I'm very excited about that, just to have a look at it and feel it and touch it and do all the crazy shit. And, you know, there's a few small things planned leading up to the release on next week. And, you know, we'll post a few things through for Maureen about what you can do if you want to grab a CD. Moving towards, I guess, the rest of the year, you know, I really want to put my head down and, you know, pick a project and just work at that, you know. And over the last few months, you know, I've really collected a lot of ideas, and some of them are kind of a little different. Some of them are straight down the line, exactly what I'm comfortable with. And, you know, I see also a lot of, I guess, black metal artists, musicians in this thing that would release several different things and put them under different project names, you know, different band names. And I'm like, honestly, I can't be fucked trying to go through getting more logos and different artworks and starting again. And if something's really strong that may not quite look like what the other stuff looks like, you know, I haven't got the energy to build that. But in the grand scheme of things, there's some nicely little packaged things that I've got that with a little bit more brain matter, they can turn into something that's, you know, cool. Not exactly a, you know, like pushing the envelope of anything, but just different for me and cool for me. And, you know, so the one thing I guess I have been able to do is, like, I've forgotten about a lot of the expectation of doing this and gotten back to the just doing it for fun, not really caring where it lands, you know. And a good example of that, which turned out quite well, was I put a new song just on YouTube because I was so excited to break the writer's block, which was kind of a tongue-in-cheek, you know, what was it called, Hail Satan, and because I couldn't think of any fucking better name for it, and I was just dumbfounded as to what words and lyrical content I wanted to do, but I had this one idea of this chorus that was just, and I know it was, to me, it felt very kind of early-ish Immortal or something like that. And I was like, that was the one thing that was cemented that I wanted it to sound. And, you know, it turned out really good. And it's kind of rough, and I want to go back and just, you know, sharpen a few edges, but it was just good to be able to get rid of that block. And I put it out. People were like, wow, this is awesome. And, you know, it was cool. It was cool just to kind of fucking rattle off some of the chains and the shackles and go, bang, there you go, I can do something. So I'm looking forward to getting this CD put aside and start pushing it, because maybe a little bit of this will get rid of some of the toxicity that, you know, I've kind of been lumbering around for a few months, and kind of dumping that aside, you know, and doing something else. And another thought which I had through the week because I've been watching people discuss, you know, the wussification of black metal and the, you know, what clothes you should wear and shit like that. And I probably have two thoughts of this silly topic, which now sounds almost, you know, so trivial. But if you wanted to look like a black metal musician, you know, you can. I mean, you can go out there and wear your whips and chains and bullet belts, and that's fine. And, you know, I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with it. It's not very practical for day-to-day life. But while you're in that role and you're out there presenting yourself as such, yeah, it probably does lend itself to maybe looking the part. And I kind of put that to if you were going on holidays with your family and you got to fly to another country, and your pilot, who's probably extremely good at what he does, gets on, you know, carrying his surfboard and looks like he's had a few extra daiquiris before he jumped on, you know, you might have second thoughts about flying on that day with this guy. And that's kind of how I look at the black metal thing. You know, there's some great looks out there. I'm really not a big fan of, you know, the corpse paint unless it's done in a certain way, and that's mostly due to, I guess, respect of how it was done. I don't think that period can really be replicated, and a lot of it to me feels like business decisions and stuff, and there's a lot of I don't think it's very authentic. So that's probably my take on the how you should look, I guess. And the other one being the wussification of this, and I'm like, it doesn't worry me. Like if a band comes out, black metal band, and they sound, you know, good, they've got good songs, they look the part, and suddenly they're talking about acceptance or social issues that are pro-left or pro-right or whatever it is, I'm like, who cares at this point? Even if I knew what the lyrics were, right, which you never kind of do unless you want to read into it, but even if you do, the same way I look at NSBM, if it's good, it'll stick around. If it's not good, it'll be decided on by the audience that's going to consume it. And if some band that's practicing peace, love, and happiness in black metal is still here in 20 years, then they did something right. Okay, because normally, what I'm finding now with this type of audience is that it's the hot topic of the day, becomes a talking point for 5 minutes, and then next week it's kind of forgotten about until something else, you know, breaks through that barrier and there's something else to talk about. So I don't care. Like if I listen to it by chance or, you know, because I wanted to listen to it, then I make my decisions based on if it's good or if it resonates with me, you know. But personally, you can put a million fucking shitty or great black metal bands out tomorrow and it won't affect my mindset or my life in any way, shape or form. So the argument is kind of stupid. But we always love discussing dumb shit, so I guess in that regards, it's something to talk about. I'm sure everyone else has their opinions and, you know, and they're not any less valid or more valid than someone else's. It's just trying to, you know, we're basically arguing over the sky's blue, what shade of blue it is. And it's like, it's such a silly argument that I've never seen die down since I got into music. And I don't think it ever will. I think it's just going to be that one thing which people have to get past to move on to the next bit, because it's kind of stupid, but I kind of get it as well. So, but with that, sorry that we missed a week, but I think I kind of sorted some shit out, unless, you know, fucking something else incredibly shitty happens. I'll be back next week, and oh, well, I've got to see the people account on me to fucking get that on the internet. So thank you. Thanks for your patience. And we'll see you next time.